Part 5. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Crisp Bone. Chapter 41. Chapter 41. Offending people at the same time. Stop crying, Xinyi's classmate is here. While comforting Mother Lu, Father Lu walked to the bedside table, poured 2 glasses of water from the thermos bottle, and handed them to Pei Anzu and Li Yuanyuan. Mother Lu gathered her emotions and smiled sheepishly at the 2 of them. Thank you for coming to see Xinyi. I'm sorry for making you laugh. I was just too worried about this child and couldn't control it for a while. Li Yuanyuan walked to Mother Lu and said, Auntie, don't be sad, you will get better, trust me. Stop comforting me. Mother Lu shook her head, this is the best hospital in Songcheng. All the doctors said that Xinyi is hopeless. If they can't find the cause of the disease or come up with a plan, they can only wait to die. Hearing this, Li Yuanyuan turned to look at Pei Anzu, seemingly asking about Lu Xinyi's situation. Pei Anzu nodded slightly. She put down the water glass and walked to the bedside. Just like she did at the Li family before, she formed a seal with her hands, drew a talisman in the air, and then drove the talisman between Lu Xinyi's eyebrows. This is... Liu's father was puzzled and looked shocked. Hush, Uncle Lu, be silent. Li Yuanyuan shook her head at him, and then stared at Pei Anzu without blinking, wanting to witness the process of this powerful schoolmate subduing the ghost baby. Under the gaze of the 3 people in the room, a black air condensed and formed over Lu Xinyi's head. In the end, it turned into a ghost baby covered in black and blue, and was taken into the ghost-suppressing talisman by Pei Anzu. At this time, Lu Xinyi, who had been unconscious all this time, suddenly opened her eyes, like a drowning person suddenly breathing in fresh air, and took a big breath. Mom and Dad, save me. After shouting this sentence, she fainted again. Xinyi. Bye. Father Lu and Mother Lu saw their daughter waking up and heard her talking 1 second, but saw her daughter unconscious the next second. They were anxious for a while and rushed to call her. Pei Anzu made a gesture to calm the 2 of them down, and then said, She's fine, she's just mentally depressed for the time being, and she'll wake up when she gets some rest. This sentence brought Liu's father and Liu's mother back to their senses, allowing them to focus on Pei Anzu. In hindsight, they discovered the unusual scene before. What exactly is going on? Pei Anzu did not explain, but Li Yuanyuan spoke. Auntie, Pei Anzu is the powerful doctor I told you on the phone. In fact, she is not a doctor, but a master of metaphysics. Xinyi, I, and Jia are like this because we spent 3,000 yuan in the Elephant Kingdom to buy a Buddhist amulet that is said to improve luck. There is a ghost baby living in the Buddha amulet. It is the thing you just saw captured from Xinyi's body. It lives in the human body and the human essence, flesh and blood. My dad works as a driver for a wealthy family, and he happened to meet Master Pei. She saved me, and I contacted you as soon as I woke up. We don't have time to explain the more detailed things. Now we have to go see Jia. Her condition is not good either. If we go earlier, Master Pei will be able to deal with the ghost baby in her sooner. In fact, when Li Yuanyuan finished her first sentence, Liu's father and Liu's mother already believed it. There are people in this world who do not believe in metaphysics, but there are also people who maintain trust and awe in this profession, and they are one of them. What's more, something happened to Lu Xinyi during this period, which has exhausted the efforts of the 2 elders. They also prayed to gods and Buddhas for blessings. Whether he is a doctor or a master of metaphysics, as long as he can make Lu Xinyi better, he will be the savior of the Lu family. Furthermore, as soon as Master Pei came in, he showed his magical power without discussing the money or sitting on the ground to raise the price. The ghost baby and the others had seen it with their own eyes, so they naturally believed it. So, Mother Lu quickly said, Then what are you waiting for? Go and save Jia. That child has also suffered a lot during this time. Jia Jia also lives in this hospital. She is on the 8th floor, a high-end private ward. The people who live there are not ordinary people. The defense is tight. No one you know can get in. I will accompany you up there, old Lu. You can take care of your daughter here. Father Lu was naturally ready for anything. Accompanied by Mother Lu, Pei Anzu, and Li Yuanyuan arrived at the 8th floor. The Ma family's family conditions are good. In order to prevent their daughter from disturbing others and to prevent others from looking at her strangely, they booked a high-end private ward on the 8th floor. This place is not only spacious, but also has good sound insulation. Even if Ma Jia Jia yells like crazy, it will not affect the patients next to her. The two children were roommates, and they both had strange illnesses and lived in the same hospital. Mother Lu and Mother Ma also sympathized with each other and often comforted and encouraged each other. So when Mother Lu came with people, she was not stopped and entered Ma Jia Jia's ward smoothly. In the ward, Ma Jia Jia was lying on her back in a large shape on the hospital bed. Her limbs were bound by elastic bandages and she couldn't break free. Even her mouth was wrapped around to prevent her from biting her tongue. Sister Lu, you are here. Mom Yu saw them and stood up to greet them. And Yuan, I want you to come all the way from Yunchinj. It's really. Sister, stop chatting, let Master Pei save people, Mother Lu said, pulling Mom Yu aside and giving up her seat next to the hospital bed. With Mother Lu here, Pei Anzu and Li Yuanyuan didn't even need to speak. She could help explain. Ma's mother hadn't figured out what was going on. She only heard Mother Liu's spooky chatter. Just when she was wondering if Mother Lu was insane because of her daughter's condition, her ears suddenly became quiet. On the hospital bed, Ma Jia Jia, who had been struggling and screaming, just lay on the bed quietly, her eyes clear, and she was no longer as manic as before. With tears in her eyes, regardless of the elastic bandage still wrapped around her mouth, she cried out to the horse mother. Mom dash. The horse mother was shocked. All this happened so unexpectedly that she suspected that it was her imagination. After all, my daughter has been going crazy day and night all these days. She looks at them like enemies, and every time she bares her teeth, she seems to tear them into pieces. It seemed like it had been a long time since she heard her daughter call Mom. This call felt like a lifetime ago. What happened? Mother Ma had been listening to Mother Liu's speech and didn't even notice what Pei Anzu did. But Ma's father saw it. He saw a cloud of black energy, saw the terrifying ghost baby, and saw this young girl pinching the ghost baby's neck and stuffing it into the talisman without changing her expression. Li Yuanyuan has already taken off the bandage on Ma Jia Jia. Since the ghost baby has been eliminated and Ma Jia Jia has regained her sanity, she does not need to be tied up. At this time, Pei Anzu drew everyone's attention back. Everyone, I have collected the ghost babies from Lu Xinyi and Ma Jia Jia. If you give me the Buddhist amulets you brought back from the Elephant Kingdom, I will destroy them. Although your disaster this time is due to the Buddha amulet, the root cause is actually man-made. Why don't you wait until Lu Xinyi wakes up and think about it carefully? Have you offended anyone at the same time? End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 42. Chapter 42, Not the Temperament of Enmity. Pei Anzu's words are not groundless. She can see through the past and future through each person's face. Of course, she can also see that there is a similar line of cause and effect among Li Yuanyuan, Lu Xinyi and Ma Jia Jia. This line of cause and effect is filled with ominous darkness, which is the source of the unparalleled disaster they suffered this time. Lu Xinyi woke up 2 hours later. It was already the afternoon. After she woke up, the Lu family and the Ma family discussed it and went through the discharge procedures for the two children as soon as possible. The hospital cannot stay any longer. This matter has gone beyond the scope of medicine. They obviously believe Pei Anzu more than the hospital's suggestion that they send their daughter to the Supreme Scientific Research Institute and a mental hospital. Of course, Ma Gia calmed down and Lu Xinyi regained consciousness, which surprised the doctors here. They were very interested in this inexplicable special case, but no matter how they asked, the two families remained silent and did not confess Pei Anzu. The doctor couldn't ask any questions and couldn't prevent them from being discharged from the hospital, so he had no choice but to let them go. Arriving at the parking lot, Father Ma said to everyone, "Something has happened to all three children. According to Master Pei, there is some villain at work. Before the matter is clarified, it is best for us not to separate, or we should all go to our house first." Master Pei and Yuan came to Songcheng, and they have no other relatives or friends. As a landlord, I naturally have to entertain them well. And Brother Lu, please bring your wife and children with you. The home is spacious, with guest rooms for living, and we have hired a nanny who can cook nutritious meals and keep the children healthy. This makes sense, and the Lu family didn't show any pretense, so they agreed. Originally, when the children were in college, the two families had crossed paths. Although the classes are different, they are both kind-hearted people. They believe that it is fate that the children live in the same dormitory. For the sake of the children's popularity, the parents of both families are also informed and sensible. Now that we have the friendship of living in the same hospital and sharing will and woe, the relationship between the two families has gone a step further. There is really no need to be polite. So the group of people got into two cars and headed towards Ma's house. The Ma family lives in the wealthy area of Songcheng. Their home is also a multi-million-dollar mansion, a 3-story villa, with the upper and lower floors including the yard, totaling more than 2,000 square meters. It is rare for such a wealthy family to not have a domineering and impetuous attitude, and the daughter they raised is not arrogant and willful, but can get along well with her roommates. This shows that the Ma family's family tradition is very good. The Ma family has servants. After arriving, Ma's mother immediately ordered the servants to prepare the guest rooms. They were clearly and thoughtfully arranged inside and out, making sure that the guests could stay comfortably. As for herself, she led everyone to the tea room. After everyone sat down, she poured boiling water for the children and made tea for the adults. Then she took out Ma Jiajia's Buddhist amulet and handed it to Pei Anzu. "This is the amulet Jia brought back." She suddenly went crazy. We were afraid that the rope around her neck would strangle herself, so we took it off for her and put it at home. "Master Pei, please be sure to destroy this evil thing so that it can't harm others again." Lu Xinyi's Buddhist amulet has long been given to Pei Anzu. At that time, she had just woken up in the hospital. When she heard about the amulet, she pulled it off from her neck without hesitation and avoided it as much as possible. At this time, the 3 Buddhist amulets were in Pei Anzu's hands, the ghost baby had been subdued, and the girls were out of danger. She breathed a sigh of relief and nodded with a smile. "Don't worry, this thing is in my hands, and I won't let it have the chance to do evil again. It's just that the crisis for the 3 classmates has not been completely resolved. To untie the bell, the person who tied the bell must find the person who harmed you. Only then can we find the person who harmed you once and for all." When Liu's mother heard this, she immediately responded, "Yes, think about it quickly, who have you offended? How could someone use such a vicious method to harm you?" Li Yuan, Ma Jiajia, and Lu Xinyi looked at each other for a few times. After a long time, they couldn't think of anything anymore, and Lu Xinyi said, "We really haven't offended anyone. When we were in school, our dormitory was famous for being very popular, and all the girls on the floor were close to us. Yes, we are not the kind of people who make trouble." Ma Jiajia also nodded, "Whether it is in the classroom or in the dormitory, we don't even have conflicts with others. How can we offend others?" Lu Xinyi counted them one by one with her fingers. "Jia has a hearty and generous personality and is willing to help others. She will do her best to help anyone in the class. Everyone likes her. If she hadn't been afraid of trouble and didn't want to run for class president, I'm afraid no one in the class would disagree. Yuan Yuan is a student union cadre with strong working ability. She has hosted many school activities and has fought for many benefits for everyone. Everyone admires her very much and speaks highly of her. Although I am not as cheerful as Jia Jia and not as capable as Yuan Yuan, my grades in professional courses are pretty good and I have consistently ranked first in my major all year round. Many students come to me to highlight key points and ask for notes and handouts, and I give them to them. Oh, by the way, there is also Huan Huan. She is introverted and gentle. She will never quarrel or conflict with others. She is also very kind and often feeds the stray cats in the school. From what it sounds like, the four of them are all very nice, and they really don't seem to have the temperament to make enemies with others, let alone get into such a deadly feud and get killed. For a while, the tea room fell into silence, as if the whole thing had reached a deadlock. But at this time, Pei Anzu noticed that Li Yuan Yuan's expression was different. Did you think of something? Everyone's eyes were on Li Yuan Yuan. She was nervous for a moment and then said, I can't remember who we had a deep hatred for, but I can provide another clue. What clue? Ma Jia asked. Our original plan for this graduation trip was to travel around the northwest of China. Li Yuan Yuan said, do you still remember who recommended us to go to the elephant country? And who accidentally stumbled into it? Did you go down that remote alley and walk into that gloomy temple? After the words fell, Lu Xinyi and Ma Jia fell silent. The parents were extremely anxious, and Ma Mu even asked excitedly, who is it, who is it, what do you think? The three girls' faces were solemn, and their eyes were full of surprise and uncertainty. They seemed to have thought of the answer in their minds, but they couldn't believe it. It's Meng Huan. Seeing that none of them spoke, Li Yuan Yuan replied, half a month before the graduation trip, Meng Huan shared travel tips from various places in the dormitory group every day, and the most popular one was Elephant Country. Ma Jia's throat was tight and she also spoke. When we were shopping in Elephant Country, we were walking along the main road. Meng Huan was suddenly startled and chased a person who was said to be a thief and ran into the alley. When we saw her running away, we were worried that something would happen to her, so we chased after her. Then, I met the Yin Temple. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 43. Chapter 43. Knowing people, knowing faces, but not knowing the heart. Li Yuan Yuan is indeed a person who has been a cadre of the student union for 4 years. Her logic was clear, and after a little recall, she explained clearly what happened to them at the Elephant Kingdom Yin Temple. After we chased him, we didn't find the thief mentioned by Meng Huan, but we didn't think much about it at the time. We just thought it was the thief who was familiar with the terrain and ran away to a place where we couldn't see him. Just when we were about to return the same way, the Lama from the temple came out and asked us if we wanted to go in and visit. Among the few young girls, no one has studied the difference between the Yin Temple and the Yang Temple, let alone some of the taboos in the Elephant Kingdom Temple. I just thought it was like the temples in many scenic spots in China, and you could visit them casually. With the Lama's warm reception, they entered the door and saw the Buddha statues of different shapes inside. They were all long and weird, which made people crazy and made them feel uncomfortable. Logically speaking, in this case, they would not buy anything there. But I couldn't resist that Lama's amazing eloquence, superb salesmanship skills, and some mysterious fortune-telling terminology, which directly deceived a few girls who had no experience in the world. They believed the Buddha amulet could change their luck. They all took out the money readily, hung the amulets on their bodies devoutly, and carefully protected them for fear of any mistakes. Little did they know that what they bought for 3,000 yuan would be their own lives. Now think about it, Meng Huan was actually the first to ask about buying Buddhist amulets. Li Yuanyuan added, she started the process, and the Lama took advantage of the situation to sell it, but when it came to the final payment, she say I won't buy it. Lu Xinyi also nodded. It's true. I also remembered it. I remember she said that her wallet was stolen and she didn't have much money left with her. She wanted to keep the money to play with us for a while. If she bought the Buddha amulet, she might not be able to buy other big things. It's a specialty of Siang country. So, in the end, only the three of them bought the amulets. But the whole thing didn't seem unusual at the time. After all, buying things must be done voluntarily. Meng Huan doesn't want to buy it, and we can't force her to buy it. After experiencing his wallet being stolen and having a limited budget, it actually made sense for Meng Huan to want to save money to buy other specialties. Until this moment, when everyone had experienced life and death disasters and sat down to review, they realized that Meng Huan's behavior at that time actually cannot withstand scrutiny. No one is sure whether her wallet was lost or not. The so-called catch the thief was just that she screamed and rushed forward, while the other three people didn't even see the thief. After the review was completed, the tea room fell into silence again. Li Yuanyuan couldn't help but smile sarcastically when she saw this, as if she was laughing at herself for being unclear about people and being good friends with a person who harbored evil intentions for 4 years. Fortunately, I didn't call Meng Huan before. After Pei Anzu rescued her, she immediately contacted Lu Xinyi and Ma Jiajia, but because Meng Huan did not buy the Buddhist amulet, she did not contact them for the time being. I just plan to wait until this matter is completely resolved before complaining to my best friend. Who would have thought? Father Ma is a businessman after all. He deals with all kinds of people and is well informed. He made a decision right away. Now we just suspect Meng Huan, but there is no conclusive evidence. It is not easy to call the police for this kind of thing. We have to find a way to get her to admit it personally. It is best to call her home. It is safest to control people on their own territory. What's more, with Master Pei here, there is no need to worry whether Meng Huan has any backup plans. I have an idea. Ma Jiajia spoke at this time. Seeing everyone looking at her, she continued, call her directly and invite her to come to our home. I said that I was dying and wanted to see my good friends before I died. No matter whether the amulet thing is related to Meng Huan or not, before she is completely exposed, she will definitely follow her previous personality and come to see Ma Jiajia. I think it's feasible, Master Pei. What do you think? Father Ma asked. You decide this for yourself. I am only responsible for catching ghosts and exorcising evil spirits. I cannot participate in other matters, Pei Anzu said. When I see that classmate Meng Huan, if I am sure that there is something wrong with her, I will take action. If Meng Huan really designed all this, it at least shows that she has a certain understanding of the Yin Temple and Buddhist amulets in the Elephant Kingdom. Even if she doesn't understand these things herself, there must be someone around her who does. Those who would think of using the Yin Temple Buddhist amulets and ghost babies to harm people must not be good people. They belong to evil ways and are naturally among the ranks that Pei Anzu wants to get rid of. With Pei Anzu's guarantee, everyone immediately felt at ease. After some discussion, they took action. Ma Jiajia will go back to her bedroom to lie down and continue to pretend to be crazy. Li Yuanyuan and Lu Xinyi's family will hide so that Meng Huan cannot see them alive and well. As for Pei Anzu, it doesn't matter. After all, Meng Huan has nothing to do with the original owner, so he won't suspect anything. Next, Mamu was responsible for making the call to Meng Huan. Mamu has no acting skills, but whenever she thinks about how her daughter went crazy and was almost sent to a mental hospital some time ago, she can't help but feel sad. Her choking and crying successfully won Meng Huan's trust. Meng Huan believed that Ma Jiajia was really going to die, so without saying a word, he agreed to come see her for the last time and arrived within 2 hours. Mom Yu came out to greet Meng Huan and took her to Ma Jiajia's bedroom. In the bedroom, Ma Jiajia was tied to the bed again. After more than 2 months of continuous torture, her body became thinner and she looked dying. Seeing this, Mom Yu wiped the tears from her eyes. Huan, it would be great if you could come. The 4 of you in the dormitory have a good relationship and are all good friends of Jiajia. I originally wanted Xinyi and Yuan to come too, but they can't get through on the phone. Fortunately, I still have you. You are with Jiajia. I hope she will be better. Auntie, it makes me feel bad to see Jiajia like this. Meng Huan spoke softly, with a hint of sadness, as if she was feeling unfortunate for Ma Jiajia's fate. Can I stay with her alone? I want to talk to her for a while. Okay, Auntie will prepare some fruit for you, Mother Ma said, but just keep talking to her. Don't take off the bandages on her body just because you feel sorry for her. She will go crazy and deny her relatives. Be careful of hurting you. I understand, Meng Huan nodded. Soon, the horse mother walked out and closed the door. She went to the next room, where there was a large electronic screen, and what was playing on it was the scene in Ma Jiajia's room. 360-degree high-definition camera with no blind spots, even the micro-expressions at the corners of the mouth are invisible. In Ma Jiajia's room, the hidden camera is working dutifully. Meng Huan had no idea. She looked at her roommate on the bed and smiled slowly. That smile paired with her gentle face was undoubtedly pretty. But in this case, it made people shudder. Ma Jiajia, you have today too. It was indeed her. End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 44. Chapter 44. Because of jealousy. In the next room. When Mom Yu saw Meng Huan showing off, she immediately wanted to rush over and expose her true identity, but was stopped by Ma father and said, "There's no rush, just wait. She is so eager to ridicule, so she must not be a stable person. If she knows that her plan is successful, she may reveal more things. Just like the villains in those movies and TV dramas, before killing people, they always have to tell everything they have done. They thought they could kill people and kill people, but little did they know that they gave the protagonist time to make a comeback. Just like Meng Huan at this moment. Sure enough, Meng Huan didn't realize there was a radio camera in the room at all. She crossed her arms across her chest, looked down at Ma Jiajia on the bed, and sneered. Isn't it a hard feeling to be tortured? It doesn't matter, it's only a few days anyway. In the following days, you will be tied to the bed and quietly welcome your death. But don't worry, I will attend your funeral. After all, it is a classmate's funeral. After 4 years of love, I will see you off for the last time. There are also Li Yuan and Lu Xinyi. I will also see them off. You guys can reunite in the underworld, and I will live in this world and enjoy the best life." Meng Huan vented his emotions, but did not realize that Ma Jiajia, who was roaring and going crazy before, had already calmed down. Ma Jiajia stared at her expressionlessly. After she finished speaking, she couldn't help but say, "Why? What?" Meng Huan suddenly heard Ma Jiajia's voice and was very surprised. "Can you still regain your consciousness?" Ma Jiajia twisted her hands and feet, broke free from the restraints on her body, and sat up from the bed. "Meng Huan, tell me, why? How can we fail you? Are you going to use such a vicious method to harm our lives?" Meng Huan finally realized something was wrong. Ma Jiajia was not tied tightly at all, it was just a show. This is definitely not the treatment a patient who has been crazy for a long time deserves. She was deceived, it was a complete setup. After Meng Huan figured it out, he immediately turned around and left. However, when he opened the door, he saw Li Yuan and Lu Xinyi standing outside, as well as the elders of the Lu and Ma families. In addition, there is a young girl who looks familiar. "Are you all okay, Meng Huan's face changed. He looked at his roommates who were supposed to be dying and had a look of disbelief on his face. What? We are fine, are you disappointed? Li Yuan's voice was cold. What are you planning on? Lu Xinyi was almost crying. She has always been proud of the 3 good friends she made in college. When other dormitories were experiencing disharmony and constant disputes, she was glad that she lived in a harmonious and loving dormitory. Unexpectedly, others just quarreled and broke up. Her roommate, however, wanted her life after just a disagreement. Meng Huan looked at the crowd and knew that she had been exposed. She simply broke the jar without hiding anything and shouted excitedly. What do you want? I don't want anything. As long as you are dead, I will be happy. You ask me why, of course it's because I'm jealous. We are obviously in the same dormitory and we have agreed to help each other through 4 years of college. Why do you try to compete with me at every turn? As soon as this was said, everyone was confused. Ma Jiajia asked. What did we steal from you? When did we have something good and didn't share it with you? Hearing this, Meng Huan suddenly laughed. The smile was a little unwilling and desolate. After a long time, she spoke. Share it with me, but it's all fake charity. Ma Jiajia, you are relying on your family's money to win people's hearts and make all your classmates obey you. That's all. You don't want to run for class president yourself, why are you blocking my way? At the campaign site, you didn't even ask your roommate if he wanted to go, so you directly recommended another person in the next door dormitory. You are so awesome, your family is rich and well connected, you respond to every call who dares not to give face to the people you recommend, but have you ever thought about me? Class leaders can get extra credits, you know. You don't value these credits yourself, so why do you think I don't need them? The credits are linked to scholarships, do you understand? Meng Huan spoke loudly and vented all the dissatisfaction he had been holding in his heart for a long time. The jealousy in her eyes seemed to burn her to death. The roommates couldn't help but be stunned after hearing this. Then Li Yuan reacted and asked. You have a grudge against Jia just because of such a trivial matter? Meng Huan, if I remember correctly, the night before the election for class cotters, when the 4 of us were lying on the bed chatting, it was you who said you didn't want to be a class cotter, right? You are the one who said that being a cotter on duty is like being a nanny. Not only is it exhausting, but you are also called the school's loser and you are looked down upon. You've said it all. Of course Jia thought you didn't want to choose, so she recommended the person in the next dormitory. Now you blame her. Meng Huan became even more angry, and she said. I said I don't want to run, and that's not because all 3 of you said you won't run. If I don't agree with you, won't you exclude me? After hearing this, Ma Jia sneered a few times and then said. You underestimate us too much. We won't be like you, ostracizing classmates and engaging in school bullying because of such a trivial matter. What's more, don't you have your own opinion? In order not to be ostracized, you deliberately went along with what we said, and because we didn't guess your true thoughts, you held a grudge to the point of wanting to kill us. I'm not a round worm in your belly. You don't want to say what you want, but you blame me for giving the opportunity to others. Meng Huan was speechless and stared at Ma Jia fiercely. At this time, Lu Xinyi had calmed down. She looked at Meng Huan, who was completely different from before, and sneered and said. You said we robbed you everywhere, but I would like to know, what did I rob you for? Lu Xinyi is not as social as Ma Jia and Li Yuan. One is like a duck in water in the class, and the other is comfortable in the student union. She only thinks about studying. How can she be hated by Meng Huan? Meng Huan focused on Lu Xinyi and said. Recruitment quota. Lu Xinyi, your grades are so good and you are ranked first in your major every time. Why do you take up the graduate school quota? You can take the exam yourself. If you don't take up the quota, I will be the one who can be admitted to the postgraduate program in the future. Meng Huan's results are not bad either. Although not as good as Lu Xinyi, they are much better than Li Yuanyuan and Ma Jiajia, and can be considered among the best in all majors. The quota for undergraduate-postgraduate programs has always been based on credits and grade points, from high to low, and the top 3% of the total number of majors are taken. Meng Huan's score is not within 3%, but if Lu Xinyi gives up her postgraduate studies, the quota will be postponed, and she will be shortlisted. However, Bayan is calculated based on grades. Your grades are not as good as Xinyi's. It's because you are not as skilled as others. How can you blame her for not giving up? Li Yuanyuan seemed to have heard some international joke and said sarcastically, "Why should she take the exam if she can get a graduate degree? Is she self-abuse? Also, your grades are not bad even if you don't have a guaranteed postgraduate spot. Even if you take the exam yourself, it won't be a big problem. You don't take the exam yourself, but you blame others for not letting you." End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 45. Chapter 45. There is a price to pay. Li Yuanyuan's words were like thunder in the daytime, exploding in Meng Huan's ears. Her face turned white and red and blue, but she never found the right words to fight back, so she could only say, "As expected of being in the student union, you have a sharp mouth, but I can't speak to you. How can you fail to say so? Are you totally unreasonable?" Everyone present felt that their outlook was shattered after hearing Meng Huan's ridiculous reasons. How could there be such a person in the world? It is clearly her own problem, but she puts all the blame on others, as if the whole world feels sorry for her. Lu Xinyi seemed to be still unwilling, and asked again, "What about Yuanyuan? How can she be sorry for you? In the past 4 years, she has not been good enough to you. She took good care of you because of your similar family backgrounds, and you want to kill her." Li Yuanyuan and Meng Huan are in the same boat to some extent. Because they are all single-parent families. Li Yuanyuan only has a father, while Meng Huan only has a mother. Since childhood, they have suffered a lot of malice due to the absence of family members. Because of this, Li Yuanyuan can particularly empathize with Meng Huan's sometimes sudden moods and sensitive thoughts. But Li Yuanyuan grew up with her father, and her father was the driver of the Shen family. Because of the generosity of the Shen family, Li Yuanyuan saw a lot of the world since she was a child. In her friendship with Meng Huan, Li Yuanyuan has always been like a spiritual support. Meng Huan, on the other hand, is like a soaring flower clinging to her body. She is just a person who can't bring me any real benefits and can only give me chicken soup. Meng Huan has completely given up. 4 years of friendship has become worthless in her words. How could she understand my pain and hardship? She only talks big words and keeps telling me to be independent, strong, and not to be bullied by others. Do you think I will be grateful because of these high-sounding words from her? Li Yuanyuan is the most hypocritical among you. She treats me well on the surface, but she does it for you to see. But in fact, doesn't she steal my opportunity to get an offer from the Feng Group? Obviously I got the school recruitment brochure from Fengshi Group in the dormitory, but she saw it there are so many big companies, but she insists on going to Fengshi Group to compete for the same position as me. What? Squeeze me in to show her ability. After finishing speaking, Meng Huan looked at Li Yuanyuan, as if asking her if she had anything else to argue with. Li Yuanyuan remained silent, but Lu Xinyi spoke. However, Yuanyuan got the offer from Feng Group, not through independent interviews, but through internal recruitment. She received the admission notice from Feng Group 1 month earlier than you. Meng Huan, when you went back to play during the summer vacation in the past few years, Yuanyuan was an intern at Fengshi Group and she had already proven her ability. The director of the department in charge of the company asked her by name. She once shared this with us. I remember that you were also in the dormitory at the time, but I don't know why you didn't hear it. Why else? Meng Huan was wearing headphones at the time, listening to music, and opened a post on the internet to vent her dissatisfaction. She hated her 3 roommates. I feel that they have robbed me of opportunities and made me unhappy in every way, so I pretend to be nice on the surface, but in fact I am full of complaints. Because she was too involved, she ignored this important news, but attributed the reason why she failed the interview to Li Yuanyuan. Meng Huan's face turned completely pale. She could no longer utter any quibbling words, but even so, she was unrepentant. Even if I misunderstood, so what? I still hate you, I hate you so much that I want you to die. Yes, I deliberately induced you to go to the elephant country, and I also prepared the Buddhist amulets for you, but what can you do to me? Is it possible to call the police? Haha, do you think the police will take care of this kind of weird things? I don't know why you are all fine, but you made a blood contract with the ghost baby in the Elephant Kingdom Yin Temple, saying that you would use your essence, flesh and blood are used to feed the ghost babies, and they won't stop until you dry. Just wait until you are haunted by the ghost baby. At this moment, Meng Huan looked a little crazy. She has a destructive mentality that if she is not happy, no one will be able to live well, so she wants to drag all her roommates into hell. Li Yuanyuan couldn't help but laugh after hearing these words. Meng Huan, since we can appear in front of you in good condition, why do you think that we have no way to deal with those ghost babies? Impossible, Meng Huan objected, this ghost baby was refined by the most skilled master of the Elephant Kingdom. How can you, just a few ordinary people, solve it? Pei Anzu watched the play for a long time, and after hearing these words, he knew it was her turn to play. She is not involved in the grievances between the 4 people in this dormitory, but she must take action to catch ghosts and exorcise evil spirits. They can't, but I can. Meng Huan, you don't think it's easy to form a blood contract with a ghost baby, do you? If you want to harm someone, do you really think you won't pay any price? After finishing his words, Pei Anzu took out 3 Buddha cards and several ghost-suppressing charms from his pocket. She threw the talisman into the air. The next second, the talisman spontaneously ignited, and the flames quickly attached to the Buddha amulet. No one knew what kind of fire it was. In a short time, the Buddha amulet was burned to ashes. The figures of 3 ghost babies appeared in mid-air. Pei Anzu's fingers flew and his hands quickly formed seals. First cut off the contact between the ghost baby and these girls, and then dispersed all the resentment and cultivation in the ghost baby. The moment she finished doing these things, Meng Huan suddenly vomited a mouthful of blood. The 3 ghost babies smelled the blood, and flew toward Meng Huan as if they had found food. They were biting and gnawing at Meng Huan. This kind of gnawing and biting touched the soul. On the surface, Meng Huan didn't have any wounds on her body, but her soul was riddled with holes from the ghost infant's bites. The pain penetrates to the bone marrow, and it is impossible to live or die. Meng Huan screamed, "Go away, go away." Looking at Meng Huan's miserable state, no one sympathized with him. Pei Anzu said at this time, "The blood contract to support the ghost baby is not only made by the victim, but also you, the murderer behind the scenes. When the ghost babies were refined, they were ignorant and only knew how to eat according to their instincts. The blood contract is a channel for them to eat. Now, the victim's channel has been cut off by me, and the ghost babies need essence, flesh and blood to support themselves, so they can only follow their instincts and find you, the instigator. Meng Huan, every wrongdoer has his own debtor in the next 81 days, I hope you can have a happy life despite the pain of your soul being bitten." At the same time that the ghost baby was attacking Meng Huan, in a certain underworld temple in the Elephant Kingdom thousands of miles away, the Lama Hazadi suddenly vomited blood. He was currently in the basement of the Yin temple, with many small jars containing the ashes of babies in front of him. 3 of them shattered with a bang. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Real Daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 46. Chapter 46, Willing to form a good relationship. Master Pei, what will happen to Meng Huan after 81 days, Li Yuanyuan asked, looking at Meng Huan who had fainted from pain. Pei Anzu looked calm and his tone was indifferent. What will happen to her depends on herself. 81 days later, these 3 ghost babies will be taken away by the underworld, enter the underworld, judge their merits and demerits, and then wash away their beauty and be reincarnated. As for Meng Huan, if she can survive this soul-eating pain, she will be able to return to normal after the ghost baby leaves. If she cannot survive, then this will be the case for the rest of her life. This is Meng Huan's destiny. From the moment she had evil thoughts towards her roommates, she was destined to suffer the consequences. After hearing this, Father Lu sighed. Why bother? People's hearts are not enough, that's all. Meng Huan just couldn't see through it. She only saw that her roommates were better than her and were taking opportunities from her, but she never thought of being content with what she had. Ma Jiajia, Lu Xinyi, and Li Yuanyuan. One is the second generation with an extremely wealthy family, one has a bright academic future, the other is a future executive reserve who is highly valued by his boss. As long as Meng Huan knows how to hug her thighs, no matter which path she chooses in the future, she will not worry about connections. But now, it has been completely ruined by myself. Master Pei, she fainted, what should we do next, Mom? You asked. I will send her home, Pei Anzu said, there are still secrets about her that have not been unearthed. For example, how did she know about such evil things as the Elephant Kuyan Temple and the Buddhist amulets? If we can't find out thoroughly, maybe there will be trouble later. Leave professional matters to professionals. Pei Anzu is a master of Taoism, so ordinary people like them cannot interfere with the subsequent matters, so Father Ma directly handed over a bank card and a document. Master Pei, I have 3 million in my card. It's not much money, but it's all the liquidity I can use now. Thank you for saving 3 children. As for this document, it is a transfer document for a house located near Songchen University. It is a high-end single-family apartment. As long as you sign it, I will immediately have someone go through the procedures and transfer the house to your name. I hope Master Pei won't dislike me and can form a good relationship with the Ma family. For the Ma family, 3 million is nothing, but there is indeed not much liquidity because most of the money is invested in projects. But Ma's father felt that 3 million was indeed too little for a master to spend, so he added another house. The Ma family showed their sincerity, and Pei Anzu did not show any pretense. He accepted his labor fee and then said, I will prepare some more talismans for you to protect yourself and ward off evil spirits. Wearing them closely can keep you safe and help them recover faster. Hearing this, Father Ma smiled. Master Pei's willingness to accept the money and house shows that she is willing to have a good relationship with the Ma family. If the Ma family encounters something like this again in the future, there will be a powerful master to protect it. As long as the Ma family is upright, Master Pei will never sit idly by. The Lu family's parents felt a little embarrassed when they saw that the Ma family was so generous, but they still took out their bank cards and handed them to Pei Anzu. Master Pei, our family's conditions are not as good as those of Ma's family, but this is also our intention. Pei Anzu accepted the Ma family's money and was willing to give Ma's father some face, so he pushed the bank card back with a smile and said, It's enough for me to collect Mr. Ma's money. He just said he thanked me for saving the 3 children, so I assumed that he paid me to save the 3 children. Just remember this favor to Mr. Ma. This is what Father Ma just said about forming good relationships. A sum of money, a house. Not only did he make friends with a master of metaphysics, he also trapped Lu Xinyi, a future academic talent, and Li Yuanyuan, a future business elite. Li Yuanyuan is about to join the Feng family, and she has a father who works as a driver for the Shen family. This network is not a loss for the Ma family. As for Lu Xinyi, although she has no connections in the business world, she does have academic connections. Maybe the Ma family can use it in the future when it develops new products and needs technical guidance and consultants. The most important thing is that Lu Xinyi and Li Yuanyuan are sincere and kind-hearted, and are their daughter's good friends. Even if it is to pave the way for their daughter, the Ma family is willing to pay this money. Sure enough, after Pei Anzu said this, the Lu family and Li Yuanyuan both looked at Father Ma gratefully, and they remembered this kindness. Afterwards, Pei Anzu drew a lot of talismans for everyone, told them how to use them, and prepared to leave. Master Pei, do you want me to accompany you to Meng Huan's house? Li Yuanyuan asked. Pei Anzu shook his head. No need, just tell me the address and I'll go by myself. You have just woken up and your body has not fully recovered yet, so you should stay here to have a good rest. When you feel better, you can go back to Yunchinj on your own. What about you? Li Yuanyuan asked. When I completely resolve this matter, I will go back to Pingcheng directly, Pei Anzu said, so, I won't be with you when I leave. The crisis has been resolved, and Li Yuanyuan is surrounded by trustworthy people, so nothing will happen again. After saying that, Pei Anzu picked up Meng Huan on the ground and walked out of the Ma family villa. Father Ma arranged for a driver to take Pei Anzu to his destination, which was Meng Huan's home. Meng Huan has lived with other people for 4 years anyway. Before today, she had always pretended to have a good relationship. They visited each other. So the driver of Ma's family knew where Meng Huan's address was. When he was at Ma's house, Pei Anzu had been listening to Meng Huan's accusations against her roommates, and he roughly understood her character. She was a girl who had low self-esteem and was very selfish. She believed that Meng Huan's family conditions were not very good due to this kind of character, so she suffered a lot of unfair treatment since she was a child. But when she arrived at her destination, she realized that she was wrong. Meng Huan's home is a large flat-floor apartment in a prosperous area in the center of Songcheng City. Although the decoration is not luxurious, it is exquisite in every aspect. Whether it is rented or bought, it proves that Meng Huan's family is in good condition. After all, it is not just ordinary people who can afford to rent a large flat in a prosperous area. It was Meng Huan's mother who opened the door. She was surprised to see her daughter unconscious and being helped back by a strange girl. She greeted Pei Anzu to come in, supported Meng Huan on the other side, and asked, "Little girl, who are you? Didn't Huan go to a classmate's house today? How could she be sent back unconscious?" Pei Anzu put Meng Huan on the sofa, turned around and looked at Meng Huan's mother. This woman looks slender and boneless, and her body is very thin. She looks like she is not in good health, like a woman who has worked for a long time and is malnourished. However, the clothes she wore were all high-end goods, which showed that she was worth a lot of money. She did not look like someone who made a living by hard work at all. It's very fragmented. More importantly, this woman has the aura of blood evil in her body. She took someone's life. For Pei Anzu, looking at other people's faces can determine life or death at a glance, so she smiled and replied, "Auntie, what's wrong with Meng Huan, can't you see? Even if you can't see it, the ghost next to you has told you." End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 47. Chapter 47. The story is well written. Meng Mu's face suddenly changed and her eyes were horrified. "Can you see ghosts?" Pei Anzu glanced at Meng Mu and the ghost beside her, and then said, "Not only can I see him, I can also see that there is a deep causal connection between you and him. If I guessed correctly, he is Meng Huan's father, right? He is a head dropper." As Pei Anzu finished speaking, Mother Meng's face showed some murderous intent. Little girl, it's not easy, you can see so many things in just one look, it seems like I can't keep you. Alung, kill her. Alung is the male ghost next to Meng's mother. He is very powerful, and the resentment and evil spirit condensed in him are even more terrifying than the century-old resentful ghost in the house at number 444 Longkong Road, Pingcheng. This male ghost heard Meng's mother's words and rushed towards Pei Anzu. The huge and rich black air, packed with murderous intent, wrapped Pei Anzu in it. There were countless mouths around him, biting at Pei Anzu densely. It seemed as if in the next second, there would be no bones left to chew on her. Black resentment covered Pei Anzu's figure, preventing Meng's mother from seeing what happened, but only the male ghost knew how painful he was at this time. Pei Anzu stuffed a talisman into his mouth. There are so many mouths around, and each one looks the same, but this young girl can see his true form at a glance from hundreds of mouths. A talisman was stuffed in, golden light flashed, and hot breath came. Like the strongest sunshine at noon in midsummer, it restrained all evil spirits and made the resentment he had finally raised dissipate inch by inch. Ah dash! After screaming, the resentment disappeared. Alung was knocked away by a slap and lay on the ground, twisted in pain, with white smoke coming out of his body, as if he was burned. Alung, how are you? Meng's mother hurriedly knelt down to look. She wanted to help Alung up, but Alung's whole ghost body seemed to be cut by countless invisible golden lights, and his skin was broken into pieces. Common name, cracked. Meng Mu had no idea what to do, so she could only stare at Pei Anzu and said angrily. We, a family of 3, have no grievances against you. You come to our door, knock out my daughter, and injure my husband. This is too much. I'll fight with you. While talking, Meng's mother attacked Pei Anzu. But her thin body had no strength at all. Pei Anzu knocked her away with a light palm and let her lie with her ghost husband. Pei Anzu sat on the single sofa and looked down at the man and ghost lying on the ground. You have no grudges against me, but if you go out to harm others, I must take care of you. Your daughter deceived her roommates into the elephant country and tricked them into buying Buddhist amulets and inviting imps. She almost died. Was it you who taught you this trick? At the first sight of Meng Mu and Alung, Pei Anzu almost understood the cause and effect. Alung was a head-bending master during his lifetime, but turned into a ghost after his death. He was unwilling to reincarnate, so he asked his wife to use secret skills to support him, so that he could accompany his wife and daughter in another form. Over the years, Meng's mother probably learned a lot of messy ways to harm people in order to help Alung increase his strength and avoid being noticed by the underworld. As for Meng Huan, he probably knew about the Yin temple and Buddhist amulets from his mother. So what? People who don't care for themselves will be punished by heaven and earth, Mother Meng said. Huan was bullied by them in school, so naturally he will take revenge. Pei Anzu heard this and sneered. It's true that we are not a family, we won't enter the same family. A family of selfish people treat human life as nothing but trivial matter. God allowed you to meet me, so I will do justice for God. As soon as he finished speaking, Pei Anzu pulled Alung up and was about to seal the seal. But I heard Meng's mother shout. Master, show mercy. We are all forced to do so. If we don't kill people, we won't survive. I swear, although we have lives on our hands, we kill people who are full of evildoers. God is kind to us, please take pity on us and let us go. Pei Anzu stared at Meng Mu with a flash of interest in his eyes. She didn't believe this argument at all. After all, no one could hide cause and effect from her, but she also wanted to hear what kind of excuse this woman wanted to make. Oh? Tell me, how did you have to do it? Meng Mu paused and cried. When I was young, I was trafficked to the elephant country and sold to an armed force as a slave. The place was in chaos and was not a place for humans at all. I suffered a lot in a foreign country and didn't understand the language. I suffered a lot and was bullied a lot. It was Ulung who saved me. He was studying Dharma with a very powerful Jiantu master. He told me that when he learned the master's skills, he would become a respected Jiantu master and he could ask the boss of the armed forces to ask me to come over to him. I'm out of that devil's nest. I was looking forward to it, waiting for him to succeed. As soon as we came and went, we got together, and it didn't take long for me to get pregnant. Seeing that he could no longer hide it, Ulung decided to take me away early, but he didn't expect that he would be discovered. In order to protect me, he died under the gun of the armed forces. I can't bear to leave him. He is the only person in the world who treats me well. Fortunately, he did not leave, but turned into a ghost. It was he who taught me the secret technique of raising ghosts and bound me to his destiny. He stayed with me and protected me in the form of a ghost. I originally wanted to take Ulung back to my country, but I met many bad people on the way, and they wanted to kidnap me. Some of them even ignored that I was pregnant and wanted to taint me. We really had no choice. If we didn't resist, we would die, so Ulung killed them. Master, you want to uphold justice for heaven. Is it wrong for us to work hard to save our lives? If we don't resist, can we just let others bully us? Do we deserve to have our dignity trampled on and live a life worse than death? Menmu's questions became louder and louder. The cries were so deafening that Pei Anzu wanted to applaud her, and she did. She smiled and said, "The story is well written. If you have this talent, you can become a screenwriter. Why do you want to harm people?" "I didn't make up a story, everything I said is true." Mother Meng said, "Master, you have to look carefully before you act. If you accidentally kill an innocent person, be careful of evil consequences." Pei Anzu raised his eyebrows and nodded approvingly. "That's right. Do you still know that you are surrounded by evil deeds? Have you ever thought about it, that you yourself are plagued by evil spirits? There have been many ghosts who have come to you over the years, right? It's just that they were all swallowed up by your ghost husband. If you admit it openly, I can still respect you for being honest, but you have become and want to build a memorial arch. You kill someone and still claim that you are innocent. Why are you pretending to be so stupid if your daffodils don't bloom? It's true that you were abducted and trafficked, and it's true that you suffered a lot. Maybe you killed people in the beginning to survive, but when you knew that the essence, flesh and blood of living people were tonics for evil spirits, you didn't attack innocent people less often, right?" End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 48. Chapter 48. Call the police. Menmu's lie was exposed and she knew she had no way to escape. The young master of metaphysics in front of her seemed to have a jealous temper and would not give her any room to negotiate terms. In this case, the only option is to fight to the death. Menmu's eyes flashed with a dark light. She thought that the opponent was so young and must have limited cultivation. They had underestimated the enemy before and were defeated. As long as she and her husband try their best, it may not be impossible to escape from her hands. Elang looked at Meng's mother's expression and instantly understood what she meant. The couple had been together for more than 20 years and had a tacit understanding. They only needed to look at each other to understand each other tacitly. The next second, the two of them attacked Pei Anzu at the same time. Pei Anzu tilted her head and looked at them, motionless, as if she was frightened. But just when they thought they could succeed with one blow, she took action. Hands are formed into seals, and the ghost-killing curse is completed. Golden light flashed, defeating the enemy with one move. Alan, who had devoured countless ghosts, originally thought that he was already a powerful ghost, but he didn't expect that he couldn't get past this young metaphysician. In an instant, it disappeared into ashes and smoke. Pei Anzu actually rarely uses ghost-killing techniques. If she doesn't encounter an evil ghost who is full of evil and refuses to be warned, she usually chooses to suppress the ghost. Suppressing ghosts means to break up the cultivation of evil ghosts, restore their sanity, listen to their thoughts, and then send them to the underworld to be judged based on their merits and demerits. In this way, even if the ghost has to suffer some pain, it still has a chance to be reincarnated. But killing ghosts is different. As the name suggests, as soon as the ghost killer comes out, all ghosts will be destroyed physically and mentally, their souls will be scattered, and they will no longer be reincarnated. This time, she dealt a heavy blow to Olung. Because Olung has been a wicked person for 3 generations. Since there have been good people in this world for several generations, of course there have also been evil people for many generations. Evil people will not change their minds just because they are reincarnated. Some malice is something engraved in the soul, and it can be brought out of the mother's womb every time she is reincarnated. This is what people call a born bad embryo. This is the case with Olung. While he was still alive, he studied magic with a master who had lowered his head, and practiced evil ways behind his master's back, using the flesh and blood of living people to improve his cultivation. Later, when he met Mengmu, he came to save her, not because of his true kindness, but because of Mengmu's 4-pillar pure yin destiny. This kind of fate is easy to see ghosts, and the body is always filled with strong yin qi. It is also an excellent furnace for evil people to improve their cultivation. Olung got Meng's mother in order to collect yin and replenish yang. He originally thought he had gotten a bargain, but he didn't expect that he would not be able to cultivate enough and died under the gun of the armed forces. Subsequently, he used Mengmu's 4-pillar pure yin physique to become a ghost cultivator. He cooperated with Meng's mother to kill people, sucked the essence, flesh, and blood of living people, and waited for the people to die unwillingly after being tortured, turned into ghosts, and devoured the souls of the people. He never thinks there is anything wrong with killing people. In the eyes of such a naturally bad person, others should be grateful that it can be a tool for him to improve his cultivation. Pei Anzu will not let such a person reincarnate, because he will continue to do evil in the next life. At the moment when Olung disappeared, the cause and effect that bound Meng's mother and Olung were severed, and the backlash of years of raising ghosts came fiercely. Blood flowed from the corners of her mouth, her hair turned white for a moment, and her skin became wrinkled and saggy. Looks like he is 20 years older. At first, she just looked like a hard-working woman who had worked hard for many years. That was because she had been supporting Olung with her own blood all year round. So now, she looks like a septuagenarian who was abandoned by her unfilial children and is malnourished. She stared at Pei Anzu with strong hatred in her eyes. You killed Olung. He was already dead, why did I kill him? Pei Anzu sneered. I'll fight you. Mother Meng got up from the ground with hatred and a determined expression, as if she wanted to die with Pei Anzu. But before she even got close, she was knocked unconscious by Pei Anzu. Next, Pei Anzu looked at the unconscious mother and daughter, thinking about how to deal with the aftermath. After much thought, she decided to call the police. Mother Meng killed many people in order to help Olung improve his cultivation. Even though their flesh and blood were sucked clean and their souls were completely devoured, their ashes were still there. They sealed the ashes of these people in jars as trophies collected over the years. These are excellent evidences. Pei Anzu took out Meng Huan's cell phone, unlocked it, changed his voice, and called the police. After confirming that the police were on their way, Pei Anzu put down his cell phone and typed a truth charm into Meng's mother. When the matter is over, he brushes off his clothes and goes away, hiding his merit and fame. The series of events caused by Li Yuan's graduation trip to the dormitory are completely over here. 3 innocent girls were saved. Meng Huan, the instigator behind the scenes, will be haunted by the ghost baby and experience 99 and 81 days of painful suffering. Olung's soul was in disarray and could not enter the reincarnation. Meng's mother was arrested. Under the influence of the truth-telling charm, she told all her crimes. The ashes of countless victims were found at home. The evidence was conclusive. She could only spend the rest of her life in prison. As for the police, after their investigation, they will definitely have many questions and discover many things that science cannot explain. But what does that matter? Anyway, it is an irrefutable fact that Meng Mu committed murder. After Pei Anzu left here, he booked a flight ticket and returned to Pingcheng overnight. The old Taoist priest is still living in the ICU. Although she does not need her personal care, she is not at ease since she has been away for several days. When we arrived in Pingcheng, it was 11 o'clock in the middle of the night. Pei Anzu walked to the airport parking lot, found his car, and drove towards the hospital. At this time, the hospital's visiting hours have passed. So she decided to stay one night in a hotel near the hospital. After seeing the old Taoist priest tomorrow morning, she would go to the ancient street to make a batch of cinnabar and talisman paper. She uses her talismans very quickly these days. Sold some and gave some away. Basically, for every customer who came to her, she would leave some charms to ensure good after-sales service. What's more, she plans to use the charm to catch ghosts in the future. The last few times she caught ghosts, she relied on her own strength to crush them and beat them up. Although she was fast, she was not impressive at all. Pei Anzu remembered what his master taught him. Although catching ghosts and exorcising evil spirits is our mission, because it involves cause and effect, we must collect money every time we make a move. How much or how little money you spend depends on the customer's wishes, but the customer's money must be spent in a worthwhile way and they must be willing to spend it. So, when necessary, even if she can defeat the enemy with one move, she can occasionally make some fancy moves to let the client know that this ghost is difficult to catch. Especially those clients who like to commit suicide. Only by making them bleed profusely can they attract attention. Pei Anzu kept these experiences in mind. Although the clients she has met recently are all good people, it does not mean that she will not meet those who like to seek death in the future. At that time, the combat talisman will come in handy. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Real Daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 49. Chapter 49 Follow-up to the second live broadcast. Early in the morning, Pei Anzu went to the hospital to visit the old Taoist priest, and went to the ancient street to replenish props. Then he filled up the car with gas and drove all the way back to Shiyungan. After arriving at her own territory, she finally relaxed. Although Shiyungan is located in a remote location, the surrounding scenery is very good. Lush vegetation and luxuriant branches, complemented by the spirit-gathering array arranged by Pei Anzu, make you feel refreshed as soon as you step in. After running around for several days, Pei Anzu didn't even have time to watch the follow-up to his live broadcast. So she turned on her phone and paid attention to what happened after the second live broadcast a few days ago. The first is the cheating incident of a scumbag man. Us down in the sky, the young lady found out that her boyfriend is a master of time management who has a lot to do with everything. She also met a blind date in the live broadcast room who is known as a scumbag Peach Blossom Jezzy. Neither of the two girls is a soft persimmon who can be manipulated by others. After the live broadcast of fortune-telling ended, the two made an appointment to meet, and then reached a win-win plan of cooperation and kicking the scumbag. One is responsible for tracking the scumbag, and the other is responsible for contacting the young ladies who were deceived by the scumbag. The scumbag's name is Tan Lei. He is considered capable, and the people he is looking for are the kind of people who grew up in a greenhouse, have a gentle and simple personality, are inexperienced in the world, and have no real ideas. Because of this, basically no one noticed that he was dating so many girlfriends at the same time. As long as he says the company is busy, the girl will automatically think about it and think about it, thinking that he is working hard for the future of the two of them. Even if you occasionally find something wrong, you will easily be fooled into it, and you will still feel that you are making trouble unreasonably. Unexpectedly, this time it finally overturned. He has dated more than 20 girlfriends and was brought together by love. Never forget. She produced evidence of the screen recording during the live broadcast, as well as photos of herself and Tan Lei dating for 2 years to prove that what she said was true. All the girls were furious and vowed to teach the scumbag a lesson. They edited the scumbag's behavior into a Weibo blog and posted it online. They also printed out various photos and chat records and sent them to the scumbag's company and hometown. For a time, the scumbag became notorious. The company fired him decisively for the sake of corporate image. He wanted to return to his hometown to develop, but found that the people in the small place were intimidating and everyone was full of contempt for him. More importantly, several young ladies from relatively wealthy families directly submitted a complaint to the court, accusing Tan Lei of defrauding money. In their relationships, Tan Lei frequently used various excuses to defraud money. For example, his parents are sick, his younger sister has to pay school fees, a heavy rain has washed away the house in the village and needs repairs, etc. He can use the same excuse for different people. 20 young ladies together were defrauded of more than 600,000 yuan by him. How else to put it, if you feel sorry for a man, you will be unlucky for a lifetime. If you spend money on a man, you will be unlucky for 3 lifetimes. The young ladies have sacrificed their feelings and youth, but they can't get their money back. They can only wait for the court to rule that the scumbag is guilty of fraud and send him to jail. Secondly, there was the incident of a grudge appearing at number 144 Longkong Road. Pei Anzu previously beat up ghosts online in front of the audience in the live broadcast room, and he used both force and verbal abuse. This part was already quite popular on the internet. Because of this incident, many people flocked to the Dolphin live broadcasting platform, providing a large number of registered users for this platform. Adventurer Xiaoying, also known as Zhou Ying, after being entrusted by Pei Anzu, wrote an article from a first-person perspective with a very straightforward title. The Centennial Ghost at number 144 Longkong Road. It begins with I and several classmates from the Adventure Club proposing to explore number 144, Longkong Road as the starting point, focusing on describing the weird and bizarre urban legends of number 144 over the years. Zhou Ying uses an eloquent narrative technique and a writing style full of curiosity to attract the curiosity of viewers and lead them into the world behind number 144. Next, the team is in danger and falls into coma. The live broadcast asks for help from the master, the grumpy ghost beats up the ghost online, and the resentful ghost expresses his feelings. The I in the story, after listening to Kaiyulian's memories, decided to write everything down. There is a passage at the end. After returning from number 144, I checked all the information from 100 years ago. In fact, the existing history books did not confirm that Mr. He Huimin was a patriotic industrialist. Did he really donate money to the front line during the war years? Did he really spend all his wealth and join his wife to die in the national disaster? No one can say for sure. According to research, this statement was first spread from the mouths of descendants of the He family, and there are only a few words in the historical data. The only thing we can be sure of is that Mr. He Huimin's wife was originally named Kaiyulian, and later changed her name to Yuzioki. This undoubtedly corroborates what the resentful ghost Kaiyulian said. The merits of the past will be judged by those of the future. I have no intention of subverting the conclusive information in the history books. I just think that no matter whether Mr. He Huimin is a patriotic entrepreneur or not, the fact that he killed an innocent woman cannot be erased. This is the end of the story of the resentful ghost Kaiyulian. I believe that all readers will have their own conclusions, and I am about to start the next adventure. Pei Anzu. Read the entire article written by Zhou Ying. For those who have not watched the live broadcast, you can also think of this article as a curious adventure story, feeling sorry for Kyulian's misfortune. As for those who have watched the live broadcast, they all know that the resentful ghost Kyulian is real. In this way, when people mention number 144 Longkong Road, it is no longer just a sinister place, but a young girl's short and tragic life. This article was published by Zhou Ying in several places. Not only does he have his own Weibo, but he also has the school newspaper of Pingcheng F University, as well as many supernatural columns. With the popularity of Pei Anzu beating ghosts, this article has been seen by more people. Pei Anzu forwarded this article on King Ziyanjun Weibo, and then sent a message to Zhou Ying on WeChat. I read the article and it's very well written. Like. Not to mention how excited Zhou Ying was when she saw her news, she put the matter behind her after sending the message. The person involved was sent to the underworld, and for her, things had changed. What she has to consider now is the third live broadcast. When I first came to this world, I was so poor that I couldn't even afford the hospitalization fees of an old Taoist priest. So the purpose of live broadcasting was naturally to make money. But now, she is already a rich woman with a net worth of more than 10 million and owns real estate in a big city. Nowadays, live broadcasting is not to make money, but to expand your popularity and connections. Just like this time. Who would have thought that the matron of the Shen family in Yunchinj would come to the live broadcast room to tell fortunes? Without the live broadcast, Pei Anzu alone would not be able to make such connections in reality. He would probably be disliked before he even got close to him. But now, she met Li Qiuakan through MRS Shen, rescued Li Yuanyuan, and rescued her roommate through Li Yuanyuan, and met the wealthy Ma family in Songcheng. The reason for this gradually expanding network of people is a small live broadcast. She didn't know why she came here and when she could go back, but she had to live up to what she had learned after coming here. So, Pei Anzu counted with his fingers and issued an announcement on Weibo. 3 days later at 9 o'clock in the morning, see you at the Kingzhu Immortal live broadcast room. The old rules are first come, first served. End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 50. Chapter 50. The old Taoist priest wakes up. In the next 2 days, Pei Anzu lived a peaceful and comfortable life. In addition to 3 meals a day, she has a very full schedule. Get up early in the morning and go to morning exercises, climb mountains, practice boxing, stretch your muscles, and exercise physical skills. In the morning, I meditate and practice in the spirit gathering array, absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and practice internal strength. In the afternoon, I concentrated on drawing talismans. I cut the yellow paper into the size of talisman paper and drew all the talismans that I felt could be used. I drew 400 to 500 of them in 2 days. In the evening it is time to read, and I read the books in Shiyun Temple. Those classics sealed away by old Taoist priests have become the main way and means for Pei Anzu to understand the Taoist system of this world. Just when she thought she would be comfortable until the third live broadcast, she received a call from the hospital. Is it Miss Pei? The patient in the ICU ward, Pei Ji, is awake. Pei's hiking is an old Taoist priest. After hearing the news, Pei Anzu stood up suddenly, grabbed the car keys and ran out. I'll be right away. The old Taoist priest was so seriously injured that Pei Anzu was prepared for him to be in a coma for 2 months, but he didn't expect to wake up so soon. This is good news. Pei Anzu drove to the hospital, but when she arrived, the old Taoist priest had already fallen asleep again. The doctor looked at the little girl who came in a hurry, with soft eyes, and said, "Don't worry too much considering that Mr. Pei is in his 60s, he is recovering very well. During the time when he was awake, we have done some examinations on him. His injuries are healing steadily, and some of his body functions have approached the state before the car accident. The reason why you fall asleep again so quickly is because your body needs sleep to assist in recovery. In fact, after inspection and discussion, we believe that Mr. Pei no longer needs to live in the ICU. If Ms. Pei agrees, we will transfer him to the next level special care unit. After saying these words, the doctor looked at her with questioning eyes. Pei Anzu knew what the doctor meant. The old Taoist priest had now completely passed the critical period and basically no longer needed to stay in the ICU. The ward is freed up and can also receive more other critically ill patients. So, she nodded. I can transfer out, but I want a deluxe single room in the intensive care unit, and I will pay for it. After discussing it, she signed some documents as required by the doctor, paid the fee, and transferred the old Taoist priest to the advanced special care ward. Then, she thought about finding 2 caregivers for the old Taoist priest. The old Taoist priest had been unconscious in the ICU before, so naturally he did not need a nurse. But now that he has woken up, it means that he will wake up more and more often in the future, and the time will become longer and longer. He will need a series of physiological needs such as eating and excretion. Pei Anzu is currently unable to stay in the hospital for care anytime and anywhere, so he can only hire a nurse. As for herself, when she is not broadcasting live or taking on private work, she just needs to visit and accompany the old Taoist priest frequently. Just do it, Pei Anzu asked the nurse to inquire about it. In fact, in hospitals, besides patients, the ones who have the most contact with nursing staff are nurses. Many times the children and descendants of patients are unable to take personal care of them, and the medical staff can only tell the caregivers to pay attention to them at all times. Sure enough, the nurse helped contact several caregivers and let Pei Anzu choose. Pei Anzu selected a man and a woman from 5 people, a couple in their 40s. Judging from their appearance, both of them were good people with loyal and honest personalities. According to the nurse, these 2 people indeed have the best reputation among the nursing staff in the entire hospital. They are calm, meticulous and thoughtful in their work. They have worked in the hospital for 4 years and have received numerous praises. It's just them. Pei Anzu determined the candidates and signed a contract with them immediately. Subsequently, she left the contact information of the 2 caregivers and added a WeChat message, telling them to notify her as soon as possible if anything happened. I'll leave my grandfather to you too. Miss Pei, don't worry, we will do our best, said the husband of the couple, a man named Zhang Ping. After the matter was settled, Pei Anzu sat with them in the single special care ward for half an hour. Seeing that the old Taoist priest showed no sign of waking up again, she left the hospital. Back at Chuyungan, Pei Anzu took a bath and went to bed early to recharge his batteries for the upcoming 3rd live broadcast. Yunchinj, Junlinchengzia Villa area. In a certain exquisite mansion, there was a faint sound of crying. In the living room, a middle-aged but still handsome man hugged his wife and comforted her in a low voice. Alan, stop crying, you are weak and crying any more will be bad for your health. What if you fall ill? I will feel bad. The man who spoke was Pei Chang, and the woman he held in his arms was his wife Zhou Yelan. Their eldest son Pei Yu sat aside, frowning. Mom, Zuzu is still lying in the hospital. If you collapse too, what will Dad and I do? Zhou Yelan lay on Pei Chang's shoulder and sobbed. How could this be? How could Zuzu not be my daughter? She is the treasure I have held in my hands and raised for more than 20 years. The room suddenly fell into silence. No one can answer Zhou Yelan's question, because no one expected that this would happen. 3 days ago, Pei Mingzhu, the daughter of the Pei family, completed her world piano tour. She returned home in glory and attended a reception banquet held for her by her peers in the circle. After 3 rounds of drinking, the high-spirited dandies made an appointment to go to a suburban racing track to play a few rounds. They bet more than 1 million, lost their minds under the stimulation of alcohol, were ignorant and crazy, and drove the racing cars to run rampant on the winding roads. In the end, someone failed to control the brakes and hit the fence nearby, seriously injuring Pei Mingzhu, who was watching. Pei Mingzhu was sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. Pei Jinchang and Zhou Yelan rushed to the hospital as soon as they heard the news. They waited outside the operating room for 2 hours, praying to the gods and Buddhas in the sky that nothing would happen to their daughter. Pei Mingzhu came out safely, but the inspection report that followed made the Pei family look pale. Pei Mingzhu has type of blood. Be it Pei Jinchang or Zhou Yelan, including Pei Yu, the whole family has type O blood. Zhou Yelan went to the hospital and said that they had got the blood type wrong, but the lab technician tested it several times, but there was still no change in the result. After excluding a series of possibilities such as wrong samples, instrument errors, and laboratory technician errors, the remaining and most incredible reason has become the only truth. Pei Mingzhu is not the daughter of the Pei family. Subsequently, the paternity test came out, confirming this speculation. From the moment Zhou Yelan saw the paternity test results, she fell into a strong emotion of sadness. She cried every day at home, seemingly not knowing what to do. Pei Mingzhu, how could she not be her daughter? More than 20 years of hard work. It was she who trained Pei Mingzhu from such a little baby to an internationally renowned pianist with unlimited fame and a well-known socialite in wealthy circles. She spent a lot of effort. But now she is told that that is not her biological daughter? End of this chapter.